This evening, we're going to be featuring our wonderful Tulips and Windmills. This is a combined effort with us and Viking Cruises, and our overview for the evening, just to give you a quick idea, is you're going to want to unleash your wanderlust. So exploring the world in comfort as your journey begins with friendship tours and, of course, this wonderful adventure for windmills and tulips. This is the outline of what we're going to do. Introduction. So our introduction is, I'm Brett from Friendship Tours. It's wonderful to see everybody. Also with me from Friendship Tours in the Ship Shop is Donna Milliken, Barb from our office, Heidi, Amy, and we might have a couple other guests as well. Also helping to present this evening is our wonderful business manager from Viking Cruises. Lauren Green couldn't be with us live, so she's done a recording for us, and she's going to actually go over, for those that haven't had a chance to travel with Viking Cruises or on a river cruise, what that is, that experience. And the second part is the Viking difference. So we're actually going to get right started with that.
In my simple world, there are only three things that matter in human beings. First, they have to be kind. Second, they have to be honest. And third, they have to be hardworking. It's very simple. Wherever you are in the world, when you come to a different culture, you meet people of very different backgrounds, but you find out that they have the same ambitions and the same fears, just like yourself. I'm so sure that travel is good for the world. It's really the best to engage with the locals and the destination. And I think travel helps broaden the human mind and makes us kinder. And that's fantastically valuable.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Green. I'm the Director of Business Development here for Viking in the New England and upstate New York area. I'm sorry I couldn't come to you live today. I am traveling all over the place and at an event currently. So I wanted to make sure I did show up at some point, though, and join in on the fun. I would be remiss if I didn't get to spend time with you all. And I know you're in good hands, though, even though I'm not there, because Friendship Tours are actually the best travel agency that we have in New England and upstate New York. They know more about travel and Viking than I could ever even give them information on. So you are in definitely good hands. Some of my favorite people on the planet, with Brett and Donna and everyone there at the Friendship Tours headquarters. So I wanted to jump in today to just give you a little bit of a background on Viking, who we are, what we do, where we came from, where we're going, so you have a little bit of an idea of what to expect when you sail with us. When you travel with Viking, you are really experiencing the Viking difference. We are destination focused, culturally enriching, and carefully curated. We started back in 1997 on the rivers. We have redefined what river cruising is as we know it today, modern river cruising. Even though we're celebrating, I think, 25 years this year, which is so crazy to think about, we have an official river ship count. So we're up to 80 river ships. This year, we brought on 4 new Seine-class river ships for France, which dock right outside the Eiffel Tower. And then we just continue to grow with our river product. In 2015, we brought on our ocean cruising, which reinvented small ship ocean cruising as we know it today. And then now in 2022, we launched our expedition product, which started in Antarctica and is now in the Great Lakes for the summer. And then we have the Mississippi that starts this summer as well. So we're quite busy here at Viking, and we are loving every second of it. And we continue to thank you all for traveling with us and choosing us time and time again for your vacation. No matter where you sail with us, whether that is river, ocean, Europe, France, you're going to Asia, doesn't matter. Our philosophy does not waver. We do not try to be everything to everyone. We really focus on mature people with curious minds that have an interest in history, culture, and geography. Hopefully by the end of Friendship Tours presentation today, you realize that Viking is a very destination-oriented cruise line. It's a main focus of ours that we try to get you as close as we can to the iconic cities and quaint towns that you're traveling to. We offer a highly inclusive product, which I'll touch on in a minute. And then, of course, our staff. Those of you that have sailed with us before, you're probably nodding your head saying that our staff is amazing. It's one of those things that you really need to try for yourself. It's hard for me to explain it. It's one of those experiences that once you feel it and you go through it, you're so thankful for our staff and our crew, because they really do make the vacation and the trip what it needs to be. And that is the highest level of service that we can provide. When you step on board our ships, you'll notice it's a very serene Scandinavian space. So it's an understated elegance. You have spacious staterooms. There's elegant touches everywhere. It's quite simple at first, but then it takes you a day or two to realize all of the attention to detail that we have. For example, just a little story for you. I was sitting on our ocean ship. That bottom photo you see on the screen there to the left of the piano, I was sitting in one of those chairs and I was looking across the way at our bar. Of course, I'm always looking at the bar. But I noticed that our bar stools all paired up into twos. And on the back, they created this really cool piece of art. So I asked the bartender what it was, and he said that it is actually a Norwegian flower. We originated in Norway, so that makes sense. It's a Norwegian flower that when the two chairs come together, you can see the full flower is formed, and every single one of them are hand stitched. So that's just one example. A lot of people that I was on that trip with noticed many other pieces of artwork or attention to detail throughout the whole ship. Kind of takes you a day or two, but once you start realizing all the elegant touches, it's really something spectacular. We always have open light-filled spaces, floor-to-ceiling windows, so you never feel closed in. It doesn't feel dark. It's such a refreshing experience to step on board our ships. And we really are the thinking person's cruise. We are curated for the curious traveler. We travel to explore, to learn, to understand the destinations that you're going to. Even before you sail, we will send you recommended filmographies. We'll share in cultural videos, recommended readings, all about the region that you'll be in. We have many activities on board and ashore that share in the region's cultures. So you might have a Taste of Austria event or Taste of Germany event, whatever it may be, wherever you are in the world. We always try to have local cuisine, beer, wine, drinks, whatever it is on board the ship. We bring local performances on board so that even when we're sailing, you're still all fully encompassed in the destination. And then we want you to always connect with your fellow travelers. There's nothing worse than getting on a ship for 15 days and realizing that the person that you just traveled with overseas and are stuck on a ship for 15 days, you absolutely hate traveling with. So don't make that mistake like I have before. Meet your fellow travelers on board a Viking ship and you will continue to sail with them time and time again. Now, the Viking way of exploration really offers a behind-the-scenes insight and opportunities that set us apart from other travel companies. So we include one shore excursion every port of call that provides an overview of must-see cultural and historic highlights with some delightful surprises as well. These expertly guided tours will bring you closer to the art, architecture, history, and people that define your destination. While we include the expected and the iconic, such as visits to renowned museums and notable landmarks, we also go beyond and offer local life, working world, and our privileged access experiences that open doors to places otherwise quite difficult to visit. So we offer experiences that are not buyable all over the world. My absolute favorite is our privileged access experiences, where our friends and family all over the universe open up their homes and their art collections, their castles, their cathedrals, whatever it may be, to the Viking guest. And we get usually a before or after tour, a private collection tour of these places all over the world. So when you're looking at your voyage, take a look at those optional shore excursions. If they have a privileged access banner on it, usually it's in red or gray, something like that, then you know it's going to be a really special experience. I always like to say who we are by what we are not. So when most cruise lines are really busy building bigger and more over-the-top ships, offering a multitude of experience to a broad spectrum of ages, we really focus on the Viking way. So what that is you will not find No casinos. We do not have any children under the age of 18. We don't believe in having you sit on board and spend a ton of money. We want you off the ship enjoying the port of call. So we do not have any umbrella drink of the day, photographers, art auctions on board our ships. If you are on an ocean ship with us, we have self-service laundrettes at no extra charge. We have a no entrance fee for the spa. You just have to pay for services. We don't have any inside staterooms, no smoking, no lines. And then my favorite, no formal nights, butlers, or white gloves. So you don't have to pack your suits, your ties, your gowns. Leave all that at home and just enjoy the traveling that you're doing. Now, what is exactly included? You will have one short excursion every port of call. You have all your onboard meals, your choice of multiple dining venues. We have wine, beer, and soft drinks that are available with lunch and dinner. Now, there is a beverage package you can add on, and Brett or Donna or whoever, Heidi, whoever, can explain the beverage package in detail with you. It's amazing. We have specialty coffees and teas that are available for you 24 hours a day, bottled water. Even when you're going off to explore for the day, we'll hand you a bottled water for you to enjoy. Free Wi-Fi. If you're in a land portion with us, we will make sure that your hotel is a first-class hotel. We have your in-room infotainment system, and then all port charges and government taxes are included in your price. So your price is your price. We don't dime you once you get on board. It's a very minimal amount of things that you would add on. Maybe you pay drink by drink, or you want to purchase a beverage package when you get on board, or any optional excursions. And that's pretty much that. The beauty of Friendship Tours is that they will package everything together for you. So like I said, you're in good hands with that. They always put together a phenomenal trip for you guys with everything included.
If it's the first time you're going on a Viking river cruise, let us give you an idea of what you'll experience and what life is like on your Viking ship. The moment you step on board, you'll realize that these ships are very special. They're designed specifically for river cruising, light, airy, and wonderfully spacious, with panoramic windows to make the most of the ever-changing views. And as there are no waves, you won't get seasick. You'll be pleasantly surprised when you check into your comfortable stateroom, all of which have wonderful river views. You'll find ensuite facilities and plenty of storage space. You can spend as much time as you like watching the world go by from one of the many elegant public areas on each ship. Relax on the sun deck. Enjoy a drink in the stylish and spacious lounge, or just read a book in the library. The food on board your Viking cruise ship is exceptional. From a sumptuous breakfast and a delicious lunch to a 5-course dinner, you'll enjoy the finest cuisine. The dress code is casual and comfortable, so there's no need to dress up for dinner. And there's no seating plan. You can sit wherever and with whomever you like. This is what life on board your floating hotel will be like. But unlike a hotel, it's taking you to different places. Places you can explore each time your ship arrives, often mooring right in the heart of a famous city or a quaint little village. Every Viking river cruise offers a great selection of excursions, included in the price. Of course, there's always opportunities to explore on your own. If you're cruising with Viking for the first time, you'll be pleasantly surprised by what's included in the price. All meals on board. We'll even give you complimentary wine, beer, and soft drinks with lunch and dinner. And the price includes a host of fascinating shore excursions, so it's great value for money. We hope this gives you some idea of what to expect on your first Viking river cruise, and we look forward to welcoming you on board.
Muting. Let's try that. That gives you a really good feel for a little bit about what Viking is, also what they aren't, and most importantly, your wonderful ship that we'll be actually traveling on throughout the entire journey of our tour. So our tour, we're going to just kind of give you a quick layout, and then we'll go into detail of each of these. First off, this particular trip is 11 days with our travel day. What do I mean by that? So day one, you're going to see motor coach transportation. So we're going to travel via motor coach to one of the exit areas. So it's either Boston or New York. Then we will fly to Amsterdam. When we arrive in Amsterdam, we'll fly overnight, so it'll be the next day, and we'll be greeted after we clear customs and do all those good things right outside the custom area by the Viking representatives. And you will know them instantly. They're all in their red jackets. They've got a list, and we will have our tour director with you. We'll get everybody organized, and we will then transport from the airport to the ship. So that's going to be day one. If you then go on and look at the Viking website, you'll see all this great information on their website. And we would invite you, as Lauren said, the preparation for this trip, they actually have planned out. If you're a person that likes to read, there's a book list. If you like movies, there's a movie list. There's all kinds of information that once you've started, you can make this trip kind of customized to yourself by picking different shore excursions. There's an excursion in each of the different areas included, and then you can add different ones as you like. So we'll cover that as we go. I was talking before we started taping the video a little bit about why we've chosen this particular trip. And just before we get there, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. Remember, this trip is going to be 11 days, 8 guided tours. So that's in each of the different ports are included. And we're going to be going to 2 different countries. So on this trip, we're basically doing the Netherlands and we're doing Belgium, right? So Holland and Belgium. And the history of this area is pretty magnificent. I mean, going all the way back, we won't go too far, but it actually starts kind of with the Neanderthals. Then the Romans actually are there for a little while. If you know, the Netherlands has always been an issue with water and flooding, and that's what kind of wiped out the Romans. Later on, you get into the golden age of the Dutch. So before we get there, we have the House of Orange, the Habsburgs, all these great things that you're going to learn about the Dutch Golden Age. So that's the East Indian Trading Company and all the first corporations into the great sailing traditions. We're going to hear a little bit about the House of Orange and the Habsburgs and Christianity versus the Reformation. It's a really exciting area. And all through that history, the borders between Holland, Belgium, Flanders are going to move around. And so we are going to be, though we're in 2 countries, we're going to get all kinds of history from medieval to World War II to today's Holland, and all of that goes with that. So it's a very exciting trip for you. This is what it looks like on a map. Now, traditionally, as I said, most companies, what they do is they do their tour on the Rhine. So you start in Amsterdam, you basically travel from there to Basel or something to that effect. You go and you visit Keukenhof, which is the largest tulip garden in the world. It is magnificent, but there is so much more to really knowing the windmills, tulips, and this wonderful area. So with that, Lauren shared some of the Viking ways. So with those shore excursions, there are these different types of tours, what they call local life, working world, and privileged access. So we're going to talk about each of those as we go. But this trip is Tulips and Windmills, 11 days, 8 guided tours, 2 different countries that we're going to be traveling to. We're going to start off exactly as I said. We're going to motor coach to the airport. We're going to fly, make our way into Holland. We'll be at the main airport in Amsterdam, and then we will transfer to the ship. Now, that is always done overnight. So you do leave it generally later in the day, make our way for an evening flight over to Europe. We get in, we're taken to the ship, and then our body clocks are a little bit off. So of course, Europe is, depending on daylight savings time when we're there, 5 to 6 hours of different time zone. When we fly and get in, it is going to feel like it's the middle of the night for us. What I would suggest, if you can, after you get settled in your room, is try to then stay up until after dinner. And to do that, you're going to have a little bit of time actually on your own. So when you arrive in Amsterdam, after clearing customs and doing all those good things, you'll come to the ship. They'll introduce you to the workings of the ship, the areas. You'll meet the hotel manager, your guide on Viking, your tour travel person that'll be in charge of the whole ship. and all the workings of all the different tours coming and going. And then they're going to give you some options. Now, when we did this in 2018, we then took a little shuttle back into Amsterdam where you have all the canals that are ringed. We had maps and they gave us different things that we could do. Things like going and visiting the Rijksmuseum, one of the most amazing art museums. Van Gogh, if anybody's interested in doing Anne Frank and Van Gogh do need to be actually set up ahead of time. So we can help with that. At the end of our trip, we're going to have a day in Amsterdam before we fly back where you have Keukenhof, the wonderful tulip garden that I told you about. And some people will choose to take that day to finish off anything in Amsterdam that they'd like to do. And we had people on our trip that's when they did Anne Frank. They had gotten their admissions on the first day that they were in. The Viking staff helped them do that. And they set it up so that afternoon, after going to the garden, they then did that tour. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Just walking around is magnificent. So these are some of the pictures that I took on the first day that we were in. Again, we're going through the different canals by foot, have a wonderful map, given directions. We then went and made our way to the Rijksmuseum, but before we did go in and see that, these are just some of the tulips all around town. What you need to understand is this is not just tulip fields. Everywhere we go throughout this region is going to have flowers all over the place. Not only that, it's a very big bike culture, so you're going to see lots of bike riders. I wanted to show you that right off the bat. Now, we're going to go back to the ship. We're going to have dinner that evening, and at that point, they're going to introduce you to the captain, all the officers, and they'll kind of lay out how the structure of the week will run. It's really, really fun. The next part of our trip is going to be our third day. So we traveled, we got to Amsterdam. We hopefully have gotten a nice night's sleep. And this is going to start where our tours will pick up. So in Amsterdam, included already is a tour that is called Discover Amsterdam. It's a very leisure-mannered tour. This is going to bring you on a canal cruise. It's going to bring you on a small walking tour of Amsterdam so that you can get to know the area. And it also will visit a diamond museum. Now, in addition to that tour on that day, there is anyone who knows the Delft porcelain ware. There's actually a factory that you could do that is called, one of the world working tours. There's also what's called the Golden Age of Amsterdam, the Golden Age. And that is really the 1700s that I was telling you about when they were the strongest economy in the world. It's before tulip mania for some of the that may know that term. That was the first economic bubble known to the modern day. But it's going to bring you to Rijksmuseum. It's going to bring you on a fascinating walking tour. It's a little bit more active than just the normal easy walking tour. So all of these shore excursions, you will be able to read about and pick which ones fit for you. This is some of what we did on the very first day. This is the canal cruise. What I love about seeing Amsterdam in this manner is the row houses. You can walk along and see them, but it is all about the canals, and you do not get this view unless you are on the water. And so that's exactly what this will do. It's a charming city, canals, elegant gabled houses. It's a patchwork of water ways that form about 90 different islands connecting by 1,500 bridges. We'll embark on our canal cruise. It has a glass top so you can see all the different directions. The architecture definitely goes back to that golden age. So the very tall buildings, you'll notice the hooks on the top of the building. That's how they would bring everything up and down. It's very, very, if you're in the Netherlands, you're in good shape because the stairs are very, very steep. We won't have to do those, but it's definitely something interesting about the construction of the area. So then after that tour, we will be on day 4 of our tour. And this one, we're going to basically embark to one of the original small villages. So Exenzijs, I'm not very good at my Dutch, but you can see this wonderful area. This is actually a new area that Viking is doing. It's not a new area in its age. It is actually ancient. It goes back to the 17th century. This fishing village, you're going to actually be able to explore by foot. It's one of the included tours, and this is a town that was basically really got its wealth from that golden age that we were talking about in the 1700s in the maritime tradition. In addition to that particular tour, there are going to be optional tours. One of my favorite tours on this entire trip is a tour in which you will go off and you'll actually visit, and this is an option, so you don't have to do it, it's a choice. You actually visit a working tulip farm. One of the nice things is we happen to be there, see how the tulips look so beautiful. In the fields, it's all about the bulbs, and it's generations of tulip and bulb farmers. And so sometimes you'll actually arrive and all the tops are already gone. But we were able to go inside. We met a family that goes back to the 1700s in basically growing the bulbs. Today, that family is actually, the farm is run by this woman, and she went through the history of the family. We got a little something to eat. And then after that, we explored the old and the new windmills. So it truly is windmills and tulips all in one. So that's kind of a fun excursion that's part of that day. Day number 5, Nijmegen, we're going to head off. This is another medieval town. It's in the south banks of the WWII River. It's vibrant. It's the home of the Netherlands' largest universities. So this is a very fun town because it has both an medieval feel to it, and then you have all the college students, and with that is not only food, but also wonderful art as well. You have Nijmegen by foot would be one of the included tours. Then in the afternoon, there are some options that you can add in. So there's one in particular, Arnhem. A lot of people on here may know from World War II, Operation Market Garden. It was where we tried to go in through the Netherlands and get around the Germans that way. Wasn't really successful. There's a very famous movie, The Longest Bridge, which was shot in the 1960s, Sean Connery, people like that. Really, really fun, but we will actually go and visit that Bridge Too Far area, the museum. Also on our way, they do a stop at a World War I memorial. So that's an option. There's also the Life Works of Van Gogh. That's an optional walking tour. There's Dutch beer culture, so lots and lots to do in this area. I wanted to give you a couple pictures. One of my favorite is going into the history of the Netherlands. They were originally run by Spain and the Habsburg dynasty, and then the Netherlands kind of won its independence. And the House of Orange, the royal family, then ruled for many, many years. The summer Palace is one of the tours that you can go and visit. In Arnhem, this is the bridge that they call the Bridge Too Far. You see the history. It's absolutely gorgeous. This would be an example of Operation Market Garden, some of the things at the museum there. On the right is the open air museum. So lots and lots of options. Even as you go through the open air museum, you're going to see windmills and tulips. And that brings us to our day number 6. Day number 6 is an UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is the afternoon, so we'll travel actually by boat along the way. I didn't put in the presentation, but you are going to pass through all kinds of different locks. And remember that the Netherlands has dikes all throughout the country, which keep the ocean out of the middle and flooding everything. Every Dutch citizen actually has to learn to swim. They're taught in school. It's a requirement. And that is because the entire country actually sits below the ocean level. And so you're going to see not only these waterways and how the whole country is connected, but you're also on this tour going to go to the Delta Works at one point. Now, this is the ancient windmills. These are going to be Kinderdijk, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You will go and you'll learn not only about these wonderful windmills, but also the original dike system and the waterworks going back to prior to the 1700s. So on this, you have some choices. You could do Kinderdijk. Windmills by bicycle would be an option. There's also a barge that goes to the oldest of the windmills that you could see. So this is some of the pictures that we took. You'll see Donna over there in front of one of the windmills. In the center is one of our tour guides. So that is a diagram explaining exactly how this system worked. It is very similar when we go in a couple days to the modern works to exactly the same system. So really, really neat. And then you not only get to see the windmills from outside, but that picture is from inside as well. And the ship pulls right into a specific area. It's wonderful because you're kind of the people that are there. You're on your own, walking up and down, able to take these pictures and look at the different windmills along the way. Now, there is also an option to add in a shore excursion a little bit later. So the one that they basically do is they do a visit off to one of the wonderful cheese making areas of the Netherlands. This particular group on our trip, and the itineraries do change around. That's why your tour is going to be unique to your adventure. It's going to be on your website. It's going to tell you all the excursions that are there for you. Then once you get on the tours, flexibility is definitely very important. The rivers change levels from low to high. Sometimes the ships need to move around in different areas. My last trip, we actually got in line and there were several bigger ships that were going through the lock before us. So it made us run a little bit behind. On another particular stop, we had many people that were doing a shore excursion that was a bus trip outside of the area. We didn't wait for them. They actually met us later on. So we pulled over along the river at a specific place and those people boarded. So the trip is always kind of fluid and it's changing, and your guides on board are going to tell you all about how that works. Now, in addition to the cheese tour, you could go to the city of Rotterdam, and they have actually a walking tour of Rotterdam, which is a very modern city. It's where many ships are built still to this day. It's a really interesting area. On day number 7 is going to be Antwerp. So now we're going to Belgium. This is our first stop in Belgium. It's a medieval town. It's one of my favorite stops in that it has amazing culinary tradition. So the history is great. Chocolate and beer in Belgium is definitely some of the best in the world, but food in general. So in the morning, you'll start off and you'll do an Antwerp walking tour. Then you'll have an afternoon where there are some different options. One option is if you've been to Antwerp before and you've never been off to Brussels, you can do actually an all-day tour that takes you off to Brussels. The other option is in the afternoon. If you want to just walk back into town after seeing areas that you like, you're welcome to do that. What's great is the ships on Viking generally are anchored very close to where places are. You can almost always walk on and off, go back and enjoy things. Sometimes we're docked further away. They'll always let you know that. There'll be times where if you want, you do breakfast on board, go off and do your tour, have a nice lunch, or they'll bring you back to the ship, have your lunch, or you have an option to stay. On some of these particular areas, they're actually close enough that you can walk back on your own. So it's a really nice thing. We did in the afternoon on this tour what's called Delicious Antwerp. So I wanted to show you a couple pictures. This is the medieval castle. You can see in the foreground here our guide. Everybody has what's called a whisper system. So that means you're like what I have in my ear, except for it would be connected to the person talking. That way you don't have to be right on top of them. You can be in a church where somebody can't talk very loud and you can still hear them. So it's a really nice feature that helps everybody enjoy the tours. From there, you'll visit churches, historic area, have some time to eat or go back to the ship. And then we started our tour, which was Delicious Antwerp. So of course, Belgian waffles, right? Coffee, those would be a good way to start. We also got to see more of the city and hear more of the wonderful chocolate that's there. There's a lot of art all throughout the city. And then little bites. So French fries, which would be frites, a little sausage sandwich that they do. And then at the end, of course, beer and chocolate. So lots and lots of fun. I also told you a little bit about the best of Brussels. This is a tour that's a full 5-hour tour. So getting to Brussels, experiencing it, coming back, really, really a nice tour. That would be an additional cost if you were doing that. Same with the eating tour in the afternoon. That would be something that you could add on. After that, we're going to do one of the newer parts of the trip. So day 8, we're going to go to Middelburg, Verg, and have access to Bruges. So the capital of Zealand is Middelburg. It's a historic significance, goes back to the 15th century. It's a Gothic style town hall. It is truly a magnificent area that you'll enjoy seeing the same kind of medieval things with a little bit of a twist. This goes all the way back to the 13th century. Then there is included what's called Middelburg on foot, and there's also a Verg on foot as well. Now, in addition to that is the trip that I was telling you about to Bruges. So let's look at a little bit of what this looks like. So this is the picturesque city of Middelburg, Zealand, so you can kind of get an idea of the 13th century feel to it. It's right on the water. The maritime tradition is where, for sure, all of the money and wealth came in. It's historic. It's going to be a trip on foot, and it's really nice. Then your next one that you could do, so these are 2 included tours, would be Veer on foot as well, Maritime City, a little bit newer. It's also 15th, 16th century, but it also has lots of history to this day. In fact, you'll learn, oops, sorry about that. You'll learn all about how it fits into modern day Brussels and Netherlands. Middelburg on foot, we talked about. Then this is one of my favorite parts. It's not something that you have to do. It's a trip that we really enjoyed. We did a day in medieval Bruges. So Bruges is one of the most spectacular cities I've personally ever been to. It's a medieval city. It has a canal going completely through it. It's a town filled with swans. If you've ever heard of black swans, it was where the first ones were ever seen. You literally walk into town from a parking area. As you go, the plantings, the tulips, I'll show you some of those in a little bit, are some of the most spectacular just public plantings that I've seen in Europe. As you get to the center of town, it is quite a large medieval town, of course, dominated by its clock tower and its church. It also has these wonderful horse-drawn carriages all around. There's a canal boat that you can actually go through the city on as well. You do a tour by foot coming in, then you'll have free time for lunch. This is where the culture is really fun. So on our particular day, it was a little bit of a colder day. So we had onion soup and steamers, and of course the famous Fritz. And of course, we finished our wonderful beers, 2 different sizes. Now, Belgium is a beer area. What do I mean by that? This area of the Netherlands and Belgium, basically every beer that they carry has its own glass. So if you have XY beer, it goes with this glass. If you have a different one, and so it's pretty unbelievable to watch how that culture has grown up, and they are tasty. On our way back, these are some of the pictures that I took just of the tulips as we kind of made our way. There's Viking staff throughout that's able to help you find your way. From there, we'll be doing day 9. This is Zealand. This is going to travel through the kind of the middle of the Netherlands. You're going to enjoy, again, a really nice walking tour. This is where the Welchen Delta Works are going to be. One of my favorite parts of the trip was actually learning how they specifically were able to use the system today. One of our trips that we're going to do on this when we make our way up north towards the Zealand area, we're actually going to be on a river, it's actually a lake that used to be part of the North Sea. When they built the large dikes, this area no longer was that way. In 1932 is when they did that, and it completely changed the entire culture. Prior to that, if you know of the 80 Years' War, all the time of the Dutch and the English in their battles with all the different countries, all of the ships, the maritime, much of it actually came from those inlets. They then closed that area off in the 1930s to stop them from overflowing with water. They were able to build the area out, and it is one of the finest lakes that you'll ever sail, and you'll have a chance to do that. Best of the Flavors of Holland is another tour, so that would be a tasting tour. And then we will have made our way all the way back to Amsterdam. Traditionally, this is when the visit to Keukenhof will happen. So you arrive in the evening. The next day is day 10. You will be able to head off to this magnificent flower tulip garden, hyacinths, daffodils, all the different bulb plants. I'll just let some of the pictures speak for themselves. These are pictures that I took, and you will be able to do as well. That whole giant tulip on the ground there is made up of tulips, all different plants. Outside of Keukenhof are tulip fields. There's even a canal that runs through this entire area. They do have other plantings and rock gardens and thing as well. This is going to be early in the season, so it would be the spring flowers that you're used to. Very similar climate to here. It's magnificent. If you want to spend your entire day, you can actually do that. For a lot of people, they'll spend the morning here at Keukenhof and then go back into Amsterdam to enjoy a few more things that maybe you didn't get to on your first couple days. So as I explained before, this is the Anne Frank Museum. It does require tickets in advance. They do limit the numbers, so it's something that you can actually go on ahead of time, pick out on their website, get your tickets, or if you do it, the Viking people may be able to help you on that first day when you first arrive to make those reservations. There are computers on board the ship that are there for your access, so if you haven't traveled with one, and their wonderful front desk can help you as well. So this would be Keukenhof Gardens. There's also a tour called Historic Haarlem. If you've already done Keukenhof and you want to see other parts, there are also other tours that can be added on as well. The tulips are everywhere in Amsterdam. The bikes, the canals, the wonderful rows. These are just a few more of those shots for you. Then, unfortunately, we have to wake up and leave. So day 11, we will be flying back. We'll travel as a group. We'll make our way into the airport all the way through. At the end, go through customs, do everything that we need to do, get our wonderful tour guide will meet our bus. That bus will then bring us back. So that is the trip in its basics. So the next thing that we want to talk about is your floating resort. So the Viking Longship itself. It's called a longship not because of its length, but because it goes back to the history of the Vikings, right? So the longship was their ships. So Viking has used that same, and there are lots of influences going back from even the bar on this ship is built in a clinker style, which is what they used to use to make the Viking longship. So they've really stayed true to a Scandinavian kind of feel. These ships are gorgeous. 190 is the max on them, 4 different decks. If you look at the ship, the front half forward is all the public areas. Then in the middle ship, right before the Viking image, would be where the front desk is. And then the back of the ship would be all of the different rooms. We'll talk about staterooms in a little bit. It is really well laid out. Big, open, and airy. Windows, ceiling to floor. Very bright for you to see. If we go back one, you'll notice that on this ship, there is an elevator. There is a lift on this particular one. There are 4 decks. What are the 4 decks? This is the open deck up here, right? There's actually a little golf putting area and even a garden for herbs that the chefs use. There's the sun deck. There's this pilot house, which is actually open. People can go and meet the captain and learn all about it. Very, very interesting. On the main level, this front of the boat, which is open, also closes. It's called the Aquavit Terrace. It's really neat. Just behind it would be the public space on this floor. On the bottom floor would be the dining room. So right where my cursor is. And then going into the lift in here, There are really nice specialty coffees that are always available, cookies, all kinds of little snacks. And then the dining room, these would be all the rooms back here for you. Let's go into the Longship in a little bit more detail. This shows you the staircase going between. This would be the front desk for you. Again, really spacious. Each ship has its own Viking god, and there's a picture above the stairs, and it's the name of the ship. So the last one I was just on was the Hild. Each ship has a different name for it. Then you have the dining area. It's open seating, means that you can dine with whomever you like. There are different sized tables that accommodate. Really, really fun. This would be that bar that I was telling you. Now, in addition to the normal events, they also actually have some events. This is some of the special musicians that they had on when we were there. There's actually more pictures, but that one, the slide wasn't great. It also, on this particular trip, one day we had people come on and they actually taught the art of wooden shoemaking. So that was quite fun. We had a string quartet that was on. There are always cultural events. Every evening there's a historic talk about the next place that we're going. And then there's also a culinary talk by the chef. And the sommelier tells us what wonderful wines will be paired with our dinner as well. Lots of open areas on board the ship for you just to kind of sit and read. There is a really nice library on board. The front of the area, as you're sailing through, if it's nice, you can sit outside. If it's not, there's glass open areas. So from everywhere on the ship, you can see really well. Here's an example of that library area. The upper part would be, of course, our sun deck. This was the herbs and the putting area that I was telling you about. So that gives you a rundown of the tour itself. Donna, are you kind of out there?
Hey, Brett, thank you. Yes, I'm here.
So before we get into the next part, which is of course going to be, how do I book this? And what about staterooms, right? So will you just give a rundown before we show them what the different staterooms are, a little bit about what's on these two slides. So this is of course in the brochure, which if you don't have the flyer for this trip, if you go to friendshiptours.net, and I'll show you a slide on this after, it can actually be downloaded right from that, or you can give us a call and we can send you out a copy as well. That flyer is going to be the front page, which gives you all the days and the details, then a day by day, and then the floor plan that you're seeing, the deck plan, and then on the back is all the pertinent information.
Yes, perfect. So the Longship is broken down. We call it 3 basic categories: your standard outside, your French balcony, and then your veranda. So Brett will go through each of those different types, but what's nice is that no matter your budget, there's something for you. If you choose a standard outside cabin, you may not have a great view of the river, but you don't spend a lot of time in your room. That's where I stayed when I was on Viking. And I was up and out and then just enjoying the rest of the ship and sitting in the lounge where I could see both sides at the same time, which I loved. So yes, the flyer goes through. We even have some pictures on here of each of the 3 different types. And we have cabins held in each of these categories and for a certain amount of time, and or until they sell out, which is the big thing. We have our cabins held until April. But my feeling says that based on the interest alone of this tour, they probably will sell out before that. So yes, these 2 pages of the flyer will go through the breakdown. The deck kind of determines the cost. So you may notice that there's 2 different French balconies. That means that there are French balconies on the upper deck, which are category C, and then there are cabins on the middle deck, which are category D. So that dictates the difference in the pricing.
Perfect. So on this, for those that have cruised before, there are no inside cabins. So all the cabins are going to have either a veranda, a French balcony, or the window. So let's look at what these basically are. So the first one that I'm showing you is going to be the veranda. It's 205 square feet. All of the rooms are beautifully acquainted. So this one, you would have a balcony that you go out and actually can stand on. The beds can be set up as one bed, or they can be separated. So if you're traveling with somebody that you're not sharing a bed with, that's no problem at all. You'll see that it's, well, I'll give you a quick There's all kinds of space. So this is wonderful for packing and unpacking. There's also ceiling to floor sliding glass doors, or not glass doors, sliding doors for the closets, which are quite ample with space. This is a view of what the whole area looks like. They've done an amazing job of laying this ship out. So even though there's a veranda, it doesn't lessen the size of the cabin here. So you still have that good square footage to be able to get around. The next one would be for those that are looking for being able to open and close their door, but this would not be a walkout. This is what's called a French balcony. This is a more snug around the bed and the different areas. You don't have a whole nother area to walk out. Now, I will say that the temperature is cool at this time of year. So we did not go out on our balcony all that often, but there were times that it was really, really nice going through locks or things like that to enjoy that. This allows you to be able to open up, get the fresh air, stick your head out a little bit. Let me give you a view of exactly what that might look like. This gives you another view looking at the bed, and you get an idea of that it's right up close, right? Again, these can be separated or put together, and this really shows you the layout for you. The last would be, of course, the standard room, and they call this the swan view because this is a little bit lower in the ship, and so you see everybody's feet right up on top when they're walking outside. So I know, Donna, this is one of your favorite spots.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I had put all my stuff up there because, as you know, I always overpack. So I put my things up there. Like I said, I didn't spend a lot of time in my room. I wanted to be out and about, but I loved it. I thought it was plenty of place to put things, storage closet. I love the heated bathroom floors. That's like my favorite part. So again, it's perfect for somebody who just wants to sleep, change, and go.
Perfect. So when you're looking at these, the difference, 205 square feet with the veranda for the veranda ones, about 135 square feet on the French balcony, and the same square footage basically for the underneath as well. So they're laid out really well. What I love is all the amenities in the cabin. So first off, if anyone's ever struggled with a remote for a TV, very, very simple. The owner of Viking actually hates a complicated remote. So the whole entertainment system is simple to use. The little whisper system that you get, they've made it so there's a charger right there. It's very, very simple to use. Even the shower and the fixtures, they've gone into real detail on this. The doors to the shower actually go in when you're not showering, so you have more space. The whole entire cabin is laid out extremely well for your convenience. So once we've decided that we're interested, we're ready to go. Then for more information, visit our website, www.french. Yes, so we won't listen to that. But go ahead, Donna. Tell them a little bit about how the sign-up process.
Yeah, so that's great. Basically, it's to call our office. So you would call, talk to myself. Of course, we also have Barb and Heidi in the ship shop that can answer questions, but I'll be taking the majority of the reservations. And what we ask that you have is your passport handy, because we do take your names exactly as they appear. We put that into our system. That way we're validating how your passport needs to be valid 6 months past the return date. So I'll go over all of that when you call the office. And at that point, you'll put down the deposit. And the deposit on this particular cruise is a deposit of $900 per person. And the final payment is pretty quick. The final payment is actually going to be due by May 31st. And that is because Viking does require their full payments very far in advance. But they do offer an incentive at final payment to use your checking account if you prefer. And that would save you a 3.3% on that payment. So the first deposit by credit card, the second by check if you prefer to save a little bit of money. But again, I'll walk you through that whole process when you call the office.
Perfect. And so that concludes kind of our main presentation. Windmills and Tulips, again, I think I've expressed it, but it's one of the trips that I think is special compared to any other of the river cruise itineraries that I've seen.
Is there one more slide, Brett, on that promotion?
There
or-
is.
There
Yep.
is.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Yep. I think that this trip is one of the trips that I would actually repeat and be happy to do it.
Yeah.
There are many options in the different ports, so you can't see everything. So the other part is this time of year to go to the lowlands, which is what they call Holland, Belgium, this general area. The tulips is what it's known for, and it's definitely something to see. So with that, there are special promotions. Donna, do you want to talk about
Yeah,
those?
sorry, I was getting a little excited there because this doesn't happen very often. So I honestly, I don't think I've seen this. So I was really excited about it. If you have sailed on Viking before, they always offer a past passenger discount. And depending on how long it's been since you've cruised, that determines the amount of discount. Well, for this month until February 29th, they're doubling the past guest discount, which is really nice. I mean, that can save people considerable amount of money, up to $800 a couple. If you have never sailed with Viking, you will receive a $400 per couple shipboard credit, which is great. That shipboard credit can be used for the additional premium shore excursions. It can be used for the Silver Spirits drink package, lots of things. So I was really excited about this because you're always going to fall into one of those categories. So it's a win-win for everybody on this one. Oh, and the air for this month is at a very good rate, $5.99 per person round trip. That is guaranteed if you book by the end of February.
So important to know, they have some great promotions. How many, I'm sure I can't see hands right now, but many of us have received Viking promotions in the mail. Generally, every 30 days, those promotions change up. So that is why we are able to hold our seats for only a limited amount of time. They give us a special time to go out and put this out to you. The air promotions that Donna was talking about, this $5.99 is right now, expires, Donna, am I correct on this slide, the 29th?
Yes, it expires on the 29th. We never know from month to month what that rate will do. It could very well stay the same. It could change. We just don't know. So we just know that $5.99 is a fabulous rate. So if you know you want to go, it is absolutely good.
So again, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate everybody being on the call, and then anyone that watches it after. Again, if you have any questions, give us a call, 860-243-1630, friendshiptours.net, and we look forward to seeing everybody as we unleash our wanderlust.